Hello, greetings from Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India. My name is Sindura Ganapathi. First of all, apologies for not being able to join this conversation and be part of the discussions and learn from it. So I'm doing the second best thing, distant second best of recording uh, my thoughts. And apologies for those of you putting you through this, because being on the other side, it's not always as much fun as being there. I was asked to give some thoughts on the role of NGOs in this global fight against AMR. A disclosure: I am not an AMR expert, nor have I worked extensively in this area, but I have been associated with it one way or the other for quite some time, and I've noticed the trajectory change from AMR being not as part of a wide public discourse to becoming part of the accepted as an issue, especially that watershed moment of O'Neill report and both efforts leading up to it and efforts succeeding from that, where NGOs played a huge role. Now, that's the good news in that advocacy has really worked in making this, baking this into public conscience, as well as among decision makers. Now, the time then has come to go from advocacy to implementation, because people have started largely asking, I get it that it is an issue. Now, what do I need to do? What do we need to do? So there, the efforts are still lagging behind for a variety of reasons. The risk with being in that period is it's a small window where you have people who don't normally think about it, but now are convinced and asking what can be done. And the longer we go without such clarity, and longer we go without that feedback loop of doing something, finding some outcome that is positive, which builds on the cycle of success, will turn these people away. And then AMR and other any such issue, whether One Health or AMR, becomes a background noise, which becomes very difficult to bring them back. So that's one both opportunity, progress, and risk I see in front of us. The other related issue is data. Now, that seems very generic, but the specific thing that I'm talking about is there is a lot of passion not yet matched by evidence, which is usually the case when advocacy is the strongest period. It still is very difficult, at least from what I can see. A decent body of evidence that is corroborated through multiple studies that assigns attributable fraction to various segments contributing factors to AMR. Coming from animal husbandry sector, I see two sides. One side largely blaming the agriculture, animal husbandry, veterinary, and allied sectors for the problems of AMR, and the other side largely saying it is not a big cost. Now, as often happens, this answer is somewhere in the middle. And to get to that place, we need a decent amount of studies that actually place the needle on where that is. How much of poultry industry's use of antibiotics and growth promoters are causing it? Is it 1%, 20%, 80%? Where is it? And so on and so forth. So, and that too, those studies need to be validated independently. Because if I am from the poultry industry and I put out a study saying use of antibiotics or other antimicrobials in poultry industry is not a big factor in AMR, it is expected for people to view it with some amount of skepticism and want to see corroborations, which is why we need multiple studies that can point to each other and together form this bodies of evidence towards attributable fraction. Now, the other aspect is search for alternatives. Now, when I say alternatives, I'm not talking about alternatives to antibiotics, newer antibiotics. That is very important and a difficult uphill journey that we need to take. But I'm also talking about some other alternatives. That is, say, in the poultry industry, what can we offer them if antibiotics are taken away? In most of these cases, this becomes true in such industries where margins are very thin and pressure is very high. Taking something away and not offering an alternative will either lead to not uh, enough adaptation or adaptation with very big reluctance, so it's not complete. Therefore, investments in those areas, innovations in those areas are very critical. And some innovation has happened there, but not enough, I feel like. And we should look at what are all the places where we need alternatives, we need to offer them. And there I have also noticed one more issue being part of this committee is that review these kind of alternative products being put forward for approval. We take perfectionist approach, which is a problem. We ask the company or the entity that is putting forward, I have found this alternative. Show me that this is not causing antibiotic resistance. Good. We need to ask that. But there is a point beyond which it will be extremely difficult to show that something is 100% safe, because nothing is 100% safe. And to show that if there is a particular study that is supposed to be done, that can be done. But if the challenge back to this company or entity is that show me that it is safe from all aspects, then the possibilities of studies that need to be conducted is endless. And also timeline can be whatever the reviewer may wish. Somebody may want to see 6 months outcome, somebody may want to see years, 5 years outcome. And that too, when the margins are very thin for investing in those, it can be a big deterrent. Therefore, the goal should not be perfectionist. It should be one of continuous improvement. That if we have to take colistin out, what is being offered? Is it better than that? And is it safer than that? Can it offer the same advantages or similar advantages use of colistin offered? So that the bar now shifts to this new thing. And when something else comes, that bar can be compared to this thing which would have become the norm. So that is the continuous improvement mentality. Therefore, moving away from advocacy to implementation, moving towards alternatives and offering alternatives, and moving towards this continuous improvement mentality, I think will serve as well as a global community and go a long way, because then we are not looking at step changes, which are very difficult to come. And step changes are very difficult to come when the issues like AMR which is multifactorial. And we have not invested enough to understand, to break it down where it is coming from. The good news in this, at least from India, is there is a concerted effort from the center as well as states, and in terms of moving towards the next phase of action. I emphasize the word action because we have had plans, but they have not been linked as much to ground level action. So that is the realization and an effort towards getting there. And a coordination effort is happening from Niti Aayog to bring all the stakeholders together in putting together a plan. And from Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor, also we have Office of the PSA, we have an ongoing effort on AMR, which I'm sure you have heard from CCAMP. Put together, I think, just to stick to the topic that I was asked to reflect on, NGOs have areas of both moving from advocacy to innovation, but also in the innovation itself. Some of them are funders. Some of them have the flexible resources to fund studies, and they are seen as neutral brokers or arbiters who can fund studies, and those results can be much more acceptable in validating whether contribution from one field or the other is bigger or lesser. And with newer technologies, whether it is genomic surveillance or whether it is molecular techniques that can indirectly come to better knowledge, this would be a request, I think, from the NGOs, whether it is domestic or global, in investing in this area so that we take this field from being seen as hopelessly convoluted to something where climate change seems to be moving forward, even in a much shorter period than AMR, where it has become part of the public discourse, where from asking whether climate change is real, we are already talking about what percentage is contributed from transport industry, what percentage contributed from cement industry or shipping, and what specific solutions can we try, and how much of the issue it can realistically solve. I think that would be a goal that we would like to strive towards. And apologies again for not being there in the room with all of you, but look forward to continuing in this journey with all of you, and hope you have productive discussions.